Sports. Men and women are not equal in sports. Gender stereotyping is a type of stereotyping that happens in which where one particular gender looks at another particular gender in a different way, and also the vice versa. If you take an example, the phrase "throw like a girl" was an insult used by a society to discourage women from any activity in sports. However, you may have seen many women who have been successful in sports, successful in everything, but still, in some researches, it has been said that even though women perform much more better as compared to men, women were paid less. Women were viewed as they were not being appreciated as much as compared to men was. This is a problem that we need to stop in the society and in the globe. Emotional crisis for men. Why is it that men can't cry or show their emotions without being called weak? And they feel like they have to maintain a tough posture at all times. Emotional crisis for men is a type of problem that occurs in a society. So, for example, there are two types of words that you must be very familiar with: toxic masculinity and emotional avoidance. So, these two words are related to how men are not supposed to express, men are not supposed to or are expected to not show their emotions. So, uh, for example, let's take two emotions: anger and sadness. So, men are supposed to express certain anger because many people think that men are very strong and very muscular, so they're supposed to expect that kind of anger. But they're not expected to express their emotions such as sadness. Whereas women can be expected to express emotions such as sadness and or crying, whereas men are not supposed to express these kind of emotions as they might call girly or weird. Expectation from a woman in a marriage. Why is it that the wife are expected to be obedient at all times and should move to the men's house after marriage and change their surnames? Expectations are a type of outcome that we believe might happen, and marriages play a huge role in this. The overall idea of a marriage is how one person expects another person to be. However, sometimes, as a result of gender stereotyping, this may or can go out of hand.
Religion 1. Most leaders and gods are men compared to females. Most of the religious gods and leaders are men. Example, like in Hinduism, there are many male gods and female goddesses, but the male gods are the ones that are most recognized, and same goes for Buddhism and Christianity. In Christianity, for example, it is Jesus who is leading everyone, and in Buddhism, it is Lord Buddha. The issue is that even though there are female goddesses, it is always the male gods who gets the most recognition and are well known by everyone. The amount of male gods are more than female. This relates to gender stereotyping, as there are many more male gods which are worshipped and believed compared to the goddesses. This shows that people in the society think that male gods are more empowered compared to other female goddesses. Religion 2. There are certain rules which are only for women in some countries and religions. There are certain rules which are only for women in some countries and in religions. Examples, like wearing a sindoor. Sindoor is made out of vermilion, a red powder which is applied along the parting of a woman's hair. It is a symbol of marriage and is never used by an unmarried woman or widows. Sindoor is first applied by a woman's husband on their wedding day, which then becomes a daily ritual afterwards. The other example is that the Muslim woman has to wear a hijab. Hijab is used to cover head that many women wears. This issue relates to gender stereotyping because mostly it's always the woman who has been given certain rules to follow, which is unfair towards them compared to men. Politics. Men are always the leaders. Around the world and many societies, there are groups of leaders and followers, but the issue is that the men are always selected to be the leaders. The researchers primarily analyzed that the gender gap to societal pressures contributes to gender difference in personality traits. For example, men tend to be more confident, dominant, and where women are more cooperative and nurturing. And in result, it tells that men are more likely to participate and voice out their opinions during their group discussions and are followed by others as a leader-like. This is an issue as there is sexism involved in how the society thinks that men are more powerful than women overall.
Responsibility in terms of economical and financial state. Men mostly handle the money in the family and leave the women to take care of children and do the chores. Jobs and occupations. Drivers, pilots, mail maids. Why do some jobs only have a certain gender working? And why are higher ranking jobs usually for men? Jobs are an essential part of our human lifestyle. And what happens when gender stereotypes sabotage how we recruit and apply for certain jobs? Will we still get the job that we want? Research and media stories abound with examples of how gender stereotypes disadvantage women leaders. A woman manager is less likely to be taken seriously by the people who work for her compared to a manager who is a male. When men direct others, they're often assumed to be assertive and competent. But when women direct others, they're often disliked and labeled abrasive or bossy. A new study provided by an article I read puts a twist on this narrative. Gender bias doesn't merely disadvantage women, it also can advantage men. The reason? As a society, we don't just stereotype men and women, we stereotype jobs. Example, firefighters and nurses. Many jobs in the economy are gender stereotyped. Firefighting is thought of as a man's job, whereas nursing is thought of as a woman's work. Previous studies have shown that these stereotypes shape our expectations about whether a woman or a man is a better fit for a given job, and that these stereotypes are powerful because they can bias a whole host of employment outcomes. For instance, they influence the chances that a man or a woman will apply for the job or that he or she will be hired, and even the pay that each of them would receive, and even performance evaluations that determines promotions. Dowry. Why is it that most of the time the woman's family has to give away their child and give money to the men's side of the family? Dowry. What is a dowry, you might ask? A dowry is a transfer of parental property, gifts, or money upon the marriage of a daughter. What is the purpose of dowry? The dowry is intended to help set up the couple's new household, especially in cultures where it is rare for women to work outside the home. If a woman died without having any sons, her husband would have to return the dowry to the bride's family, deducting the value of the bride's price. But in most places, it's the woman's family who gives money to the men's family, or the dowry to the men's family. But it seems to be like there's a change in Thailand. Sin Sod or Thai dowry is supposed to be given by the groom to the bride's family so as to be repaid for the loss of their daughter.
Okay, so my first question is, did you ever feel like you were gender stereotyped based on the sports you were doing?
Yes, sometimes I do feel gender stereotyped when playing sports, such as even from a young age to till now, such as playing for varsity teams against other school and trying out new sports. There's always a stereotype linked with sports that men always do better. So I can feel very hesitant sometimes to try out the new sports, such as badminton when I was in year 7. I was very scared because no one else would play except for the senior guys. But I was able to let go of my fear and then try my best to play badminton, even if I did not know any. There were no other girls playing.
My next question is, do you think that men and women have equal rights according to sports?
In sports?
Yeah.
I think women's sports is highly underrated. They're not appreciated enough for how much hard work they do, and there's a lot of confusion between what is male and a female in sports, and unethical acts that sometimes I don't agree with. And women do not get enough credit as men do, such as basketball. The NBA basketball is so popular, whereas the WNBA women's basketball is considered a joke by so many, and it's heartbreaking to see that, because we know that women are not given the same opportunity. Even if they have the same level of skills, they're not paid enough, they're not appreciated enough, they're not talked about enough. So there's definitely gender differences, and it's not right, because we should be progressive when we're in the 21st century.
As a student council president, are men leaders better than women?
I think absolutely not. I think gender has nothing to do with a person's capability to lead. I think there are great female leaders and there are great male leaders. So in short, it doesn't really matter which gender you belong to. It just matters how your skills are.
What are other ways to give women equal recognition as men?
I believe as we are progressing, I think women are starting to get the same recognition as men. But I do think there are some aspects where women aren't given the same recognition as men. So I think maybe education and using other forms of media could help female leaders gain the same attention as male leaders.
Do you believe some jobs are gender biased?
Yes, certainly.
How?
It tends to be focused more on men than women.
Okay.
Although interestingly, there are more women employed in the teaching profession in some countries. So it doesn't always follow that way.
Okay. So as the head of the school, how do you hire teachers here? Do you base it on gender or qualifications?
The word qualifications also encompasses experience.
Yes.
So experience is very important. Someone's qualifications, someone's formal academic qualifications are also very important as well, but their experience makes the difference. Here we've got about 2/3 male and one, maybe less than 1/3 female teachers. And so at the moment, for hiring for next year, it would be an advantage to be female, because absolutely we want to try and keep a balance where at all possible, for homerooms, for pastoral care, for child protection,
So
for diversity as well.
Oh, okay.
For diversity above all of those things. So from our perspective, we would want to keep a balance, equity between male and female teachers. Yeah.
So is it true that in our school males are paid more than females?
No, there's no difference between the two. In the national systems, I think it's in America, I think on average male pay is 13% more than female pay.
But over here you pay based on experience.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to interview about gender stereotyping, and this is about emotional crisis for men. And my first question is, did you ever feel like you were just based on your emotions you were expressing in your personal life?
Well, yes, I guess, because once we were playing a basketball match and I was feeling nervous to drive in because there were really big guys and I was supposed to act like confident. I'm not.
Okay. So my next question is, do you know any solution that we can try with in reduce this type of stereotyping?
Yeah, well, you should just let emotions be emotions, not tell someone to not express some emotion just because they're man.
Okay, thank you very much for your interview.
Do you think, even in religion, more male leaders are recognized compared to female leaders?
Yeah, this is true statement that if religions and history, all the events are basically men dominated because religion started approximately 5,000 years ago. The society was a bit different than now, current society. So society was basically man dominated. So the same religions also had to be like same. But it's partially true because if we see the development in religions throughout the history, so there were many women who actually contributed toward religious philosophy and beliefs that makes importance for men and women. But still, you can see if we go for percentage, so it was basically men dominated. That's true.
And why is it that when it comes to leadership, they mostly expect men to be chosen?
Men, if you see past history again, in religions were considered to be more stronger than women. That's why, because the results what came from the battlefields. So men were considered to be strong when they were sent to the battlefield to win the wars and battles and to establish their empire. And for that feeling, I think men were more stronger than women in that sense, in fighting sense. And it happened in history, that's also true. Thank you.
So why is like the majority of people and girls are not at boys? Because girls. Hey, you can make okay. A six-pack. Why suddenly when six-pack came you went this side?
There are female bodybuilders too.
Yeah.
But not a lot.
Okay, but not a lot. Okay. Rescue.
Wait,
what? Like rescue.
Rescue?
Rescue.
Rescuing. Rescue.
Or rescuing boys.
Girls know you did.
Glitter. What? Glitter.
Glitter.
What is glitter?
Sparkly thing. Glitter.
The first gender you think of when I say this word? Girls or boys?
Boys.
Yeah. I'm not gay. Why is it that when I said glitter, all of you went into girls' side?
Because the majority is girls.
I don't know. Not necessarily these things have to be a girl or a boy. Do you guys know the meaning of stereotypes?
Yes.
Okay. So these are stereotypes that have been built into our mind, into thinking that this is a girl thing or a boy thing. So what I aim for this project is to let you know to judge an individual by their personality, not by their gender. So all of these things, it could be in the middle. It's not necessarily a girl or a boy thing.
You didn't let us go over to the middle.
Yeah, because I wanted to see what was the first thing that comes to your mind. But all of you will have been in the middle, right? Yeah, because you're judging people by their personality and not by their gender. Okay, thank you.